There are things we only notice when we watch them later. Security cameras stay on all the time, without emotion, without filters, but sometimes they end up capturing situations so strange that they look like scenes from a movie. Quick moments, unsettling details, and events that nobody was prepared to see appear out of nowhere and leave more questions than answers. And that is exactly what you're going to see here today. So go ahead and leave your like, click the subscribe button below, and let's go. In Oradea, Romania, a recent accident left everyone completely confused. It was night on Unsettling Street when a Mercedes appeared at extremely high speed and simply flew. The car went over a roundabout, jumped over two vehicles that were stopped at the entrance, and only came to a stop in an area next to a gas station. All of this was recorded by security cameras and looks like a movie scene. According to local police, the driver was a man of around 55 years old. The main suspicion is that he suddenly felt ill, possibly due to a crisis related to diabetes. Authorities have already ruled out alcohol consumption and illicit substances, which made the case even more curious. After this absurd jump, the car crashed hard and the driver was trapped inside the vehicle. Rescue teams arrived quickly, managed to remove the man, and despite the impact, he was fine. A few hours later, he was already home recovering. The most impressive thing is that no one else was injured. The two cars that were passed over were empty at the time of the accident, and by pure luck, there were no pedestrians passing through the area. Now, investigators are trying to understand what really caused all this. It could have been excessive speed, the driver's health problem, or even some mechanical failure. Whatever the answer may be, one thing is certain: it looked like a Fast and Furious scene. In Tramandaí on the north coast of Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil, an accident drew attention not only because of the crash itself, but because of what happened right after. It was around 10 hours and 51 minutes in the morning on a Tuesday when a city hall camera captured the collision at an avenue intersection. An HB20 driven by a woman hit the side of an L200 pickup truck. With the impact, the utility vehicle ended up flipping over, while the smaller car climbed onto the central median. Up to that point, it was just another urban accident like so many others, but the sequence left anyone who watched the footage in shock. Right after the crash, the HB20 driver got out of the car apparently conscious. She started walking along the road, crossed a few meters, and when she reached the crosswalk, she simply fell to the ground. She fainted right there in the middle of the street just seconds after leaving the vehicle. The Tramandaí Municipal Guard was called and arrived quickly at the scene. According to the information provided, no one suffered serious injuries. The driver was assisted and showed signs of shock, which helps explain the sudden collapse after the scare. Even when it seems like everything turned out fine, the body and the mind can still react in unpredictable ways. A very strange episode was recorded at a prison in the state of Karnataka, India. Security cameras captured the moment when an inmate decided to attempt an escape in a way no one expected. Quickly, he ran toward the prison complex wall and managed to climb the structure, disappearing on the other side in just a few seconds. Movement was so agile that for a moment anyone watching might think it was not real. Prison staff noticed the escape shortly afterward and began searches in the area. The situation caused panic, police reinforcements, and alerts in nearby areas. Despite the scare, the escape did not last long. The next day, the man was located and captured again by authorities. There was no serious confrontation during the recapture, and he was taken back to the prison unit without significant injuries. The video raised several questions. How did someone manage to escape from a place that should be highly monitored? Was there a security failure, or did he take advantage of a moment of negligence? Local authorities stated that they opened an internal investigation to understand exactly what happened and prevent something similar from happening again. On a road surrounded by forests, a woman was driving home late at night when she went through a situation that would give anyone chills. The location was isolated, with little lighting and practically no traffic. She was driving calmly when suddenly she heard a loud and frightening howl coming from the middle of the trees. The sound was so strong and unexpected that she froze instantly. According to her account, it was not that distant, common animal noise. It sounded very close, echoing along the empty road. Her reaction was immediate. She shouted a curse in fear, stepped hard on the accelerator, and decided to get out of there as fast as possible without thinking twice.
Oh my god, no. That.
The fear was not just about the sound itself, but about the uncertainty. She saw nothing. No animal crossed the road. No shadow appeared in the car's headlights. It was just that strange howl breaking the silence of the forest. In Ayodhya, India, a recent case caused outrage and left many people unable to believe what they saw. At the end of July of 2025, an elderly woman was left alone on the side of a road during the night. Security cameras show the entire scene. An electric rickshaw stops at the location. 3 people get out, 2 women and a man. They place the elderly woman on the ground, cover her with a simple blanket, and leave without looking back. Shortly after, the street becomes empty again, as if nothing had happened. The next morning, local residents found the woman in critical condition and called the police. She was rushed to the trauma center of the nearest hospital. Despite receiving care, she did not survive and died hours later. Reports indicate that she was undergoing cancer treatment and had a severe infection in the neck area, which made the situation even worse. The police registered the incident and formed a team to identify the people shown in the video, promising legal accountability. Recent data shows that a huge portion of elderly people in India suffer some form of neglect. A harsh story that raises an uncomfortable question. How far does family responsibility go when someone can no longer take care of themselves? During a routine traffic stop, a police officer went through a situation that to this day leaves many people without an explanation. She had pulled over a car because it was speeding above the allowed limit. Nothing out of the ordinary up to that point. The driver pulled over without complaining, was polite, and calmly answered the basic routine questions. Documents, license, where she was going, everything seemed calm. The officer noticed no signs of nervousness, nothing that raised suspicion. The woman inside the car maintained a serene tone and spoke normally. That was when something strange happened. While looking at the document, the officer noticed that it was expired. She turned to inform the driver, and there was simply no one in the driver's seat anymore. The door was closed. The car was still there, but the woman had vanished.
Sit tight, sir. I'll be right back. Your registration is What the?
In a matter of seconds, without noise, without visible movement, the officer called her name out loud, looked around, checked inside the vehicle and around the roadside. Nothing. No person running, no trace, no logical explanation. Frightened, the officer requested backup over the radio. The case became a topic among colleagues and gained fame as one of the strangest traffic stops ever recorded. In another one of those episodes that becomes almost comical because of how absurd it is, a food delivery worker became a topic of conversation in a residential building after stealing a pair of flip-flops. He arrived at the location to make a regular delivery, the kind that happens all the time, went up to the indicated floor and calmly walked down the hallway. Security cameras show that he noticed something left outside an apartment, a pair of flip-flops right there by the door. The delivery worker noticed them, took off his own flip-flops and put on the resident's pair. And he left his own in their place, as if he were making a simple exchange. All of this took just a few moments. Shortly after, he turned around and walked away down the hallway as if nothing had happened. Really, you cannot let your guard down with anything anymore. In Arcadia, California, a desperate scene unfolded in full view of a residential camera. A woman appears running to a neighbor's door, visibly panicked, knocking and asking for help. The street was dark and silent, as if no one was around to hear. Suddenly, a man appears from behind. He grabs the woman by the hair and forcefully pulls her off the porch. The screams echo as she tries to resist. The scene continues for a few seconds that feel endless. A resident later said that from a side window of the house, it was possible to see the attacker stepping on her and dragging her along the ground. All of this was recorded by a doorbell camera at a house in the area, about 20 kilometers from Los Angeles. The homeowner handed the video over to the police, who immediately began searching the neighborhood. Shortly afterward, officers found a woman being held against her will inside a nearby house. Police identified the man as Robert Mendez, pointed out as the victim's former partner. He was detained under suspicion of serious crimes related to violence and unlawful confinement. In this case, the simple act of a neighbor sharing the footage was essential for the victim to be located in time. In Olinda, Brazil, an accident at a gym ended tragically and raised an important warning. Ronald Jose Salvador Montenegro, 55 years old, was training normally when something went very wrong during a bench press exercise. Security cameras show Ronald lying on the bench using a free barbell. At a certain moment, the equipment slips from his hands and hits his chest directly. He still manages to stand up shortly after the impact, but a few seconds later he collapses to the ground, already without strength. Experts explain that in the images, the way the bar was being held stands out. It was a grip known for not fully involving the thumb, which greatly increases the risk of losing control. Free weight exercises already require extra caution, and without close supervision, the danger grows even more. According to a thoracic surgeon interviewed by the press, the impact hit an extremely sensitive region of the chest, where vital structures are located, and injury there can lead to a very rapid decline, even when the weight does not seem extreme at first glance. Ronald entered the gym shortly before 8 in the evening. About 15 minutes later, the family was informed of what had happened. He was taken to a medical unit but did not survive. The case was registered as an accident and is still under official analysis. Ronald was known in Olinda, Brazil for his connection to popular culture and carnival, in addition to having practiced weight training for decades. A story that reinforces how attention, proper technique, and supervision are not details. In some cases, they make all the difference between walking out or not leaving at all. In a forested area monitored by a trail camera, a nighttime recording ended up drawing attention because of what suddenly appeared in the video. The footage shows a family of foxes walking along the trail, sniffing the ground and moving calmly, as they usually do at night. Everything goes normally until something crosses their path at high speed. There is no immediate panic. The foxes do not run away in desperation. What stands out is that they simply spread out, each one going in a different direction, making room for whatever was passing through. Right after that, the strange figure appears. A thin being with an unusual appearance runs across the frame. The body seems elongated, with arms and legs far too long for a common animal. The way it moves is odd and does not resemble the typical run of dogs or other animals known in the region. The camera's infrared lighting makes everything even stranger, creating a bright silhouette that is hard to identify. The behavior of the foxes is the most curious detail. They did not panic, but they also did not ignore the presence. They simply moved away, as if something out of the ordinary had crossed their path. In the end, only the question of what that could have been remained. Near the campus of the University of California in Irvine in the United States, a security video recorded a concerning situation that quickly drew the attention of authorities and local residents. The images show a woman walking alone, doing exercise laps in a nearby parking lot in broad daylight. At a certain moment, a man appears a few meters behind her. The detail that caught investigators' attention is that he begins to repeat exactly her movements. When the woman changes direction, he does the same, keeping his distance as if observing every step. A few seconds later, the mood changes. The man speeds up, approaches quickly from behind, and tries to restrain the woman. The action is brief, but enough to cause panic. He then flees the scene. According to police, the suspect got into a white car and left the area at high speed. The video was released to help with identification. The images show a young man wearing a gray shirt, black shorts, and flip-flops. The release worked. 2 days later, police reported that a 23-year-old man was located and detained. He was in the area making food deliveries when he was approached. Authorities stated that he confessed involvement in the case and that there was already an outstanding warrant related to another traffic incident. The woman received assistance and is doing well, although the scare was significant. In Amritsar, India, a tense scene became an example of courage inside a home. It was an ordinary night when Mandeep Kaur noticed something strange while hanging clothes. 3 masked men were outside, watching the place. Her husband was not home, and at that moment, she was only with her 2 children. The cameras show the men climbing the wall and heading straight for the main door. Mandeep runs to close the entrance, but they start pushing hard, trying to force their way in. From there, a desperate struggle begins. On the inside, she holds the the door with everything she has, using her own body to prevent it from opening. Even under pressure, she manages to lock the door and still drags a couch to reinforce the entrance. Throughout the entire time, Mandeep shouts loudly, calling the attention of neighbors and trying to scare the intruders away. The children appear in the footage, visibly shaken without fully understanding what was happening. Outside, other cameras record the three men insisting for a few moments. Unable to advance and realizing they were being noticed, they give up and flee the scene. Shortly after, Mandeep grabs the phone, calls for help, and continues checking doors and windows to make sure they were really gone. According to the family, the house may have been chosen because of the husband's work as he operates in the jewelry business. Police stated that they are analyzing the footage to identify those involved, and in the end, it became very clear that a mother, to save her children, is capable of anything. On an almost empty road, a scene recorded by a surveillance camera drew attention for seeming illogical. A visibly drunk man is standing in the middle of the road, unhurried, slightly staggering, and looking around as if he did not really know where he was. A car then appears pulling a cart, with a horse in front and a man right behind guiding the animal. The image is already strange on its own, but the situation was far from over. In just a few seconds, the cart loses alignment, leaves the road, and the man who was on it ends up falling to the ground. Everything happens fast, but it is enough to turn into complete chaos. The drunk man, who until then seemed oblivious to the world, gets startled when he realizes what just happened right in front of him. He takes a step back, clearly panicked, trying to distance himself from the confusion. But the retreat does not help much. He starts walking backward toward the wall of a house. In just a few steps, he loses his balance and ends up falling as well, completing the most absurd sequence of the day. No one was injured, but the entire scene becomes a succession of mistakes that are hard to believe. Do not forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.